everyone, something a little different today. I'm going to go over the process that I do when I get some acquire some retro parts. Now, normally these obviously come from places like eBay, and when they arrive they can be in varying states of condition. As you can see by this one, not particularly clean. Not the worst I've seen. Damaged bracket. But other than that, it does seem visually okay. What I normally do is I give these all a quick test and a clean, and normally take them apart and clean out the fans and various things. I mean, that's another example of a very filthy fan. I don't think you can see that, but that's caked with dust. And this one in particular, when I plugged it in and tested it over there, this one's making a bit of a grinding sound, so I want to see if I can fix that, because I do like to try and keep them in their original states, but if they're too far gone, then I would replace the fan assembly with something else. And you know, some of these are some bit of odd examples. I mean, this one here is a 7300 GT, I believe. I mean, you wouldn't know by looking at it, but it's a single slot card, which in this area that's not uncommon, but it's from actually a Dell, I think, a workstation, so not the most common example of that card in particular. So I'd like to try and keep them as they are. But anyway, enough about that. Let's go through and actually clean up one of these cards, and I'll go through the process that I normally do. So it's going to be a bit of me just cleaning up these cards and talking about each of them individually, and why I do this and why it's important to look after your stuff. So without further ado, let's go. I suppose we should start with, I suppose this one. It's the most damaged. Well, there we go. Like I said, let's start with this. I got it slightly wrong. This is actually a GTS 240. So yeah. I might buy a lot of cards, doesn't mean I always remember what exactly they are. But anyway, as I said, we'll start with the... This is the... If you can see that. The GT 7300. Which is a older card, of course. It's from... Let me just double check. Just check on my phone. Where is it? GT 7300, came out in 2006. Doesn't list any kind of TDP rating or anything. It's, when it came out, it was a budget card. Judging by the size of the heatsink, it's probably about, in fact it doesn't require any additional power, and it is PCI Express, it's going to have to be below 75 watt TDP. So I would say it's probably about that, actually, 60, 70. For comparison, that's a 120 watt TDP card. So it's probably about that. It doesn't list it, but that's not uncommon back then. So let's start off with the basics, shall we? Obvious damage. Let's get that straightened up. Now, I haven't actually dropped this in the machine yet because of that bent bracket. That looks pretty straight. So I don't know if this actually works. I mean, I've tested the other cards. 2 of them booted. The machine booted, but there was no video on this, but that's because this is a Apple version of the card and there's some strangeness here. I need to look into this. But anyway, this one I haven't tested. I mean, I could give it a quick test now, but I'm not gonna. So what I normally do is I'll give it a general quick clean, normally with like a small brush. It isn't plastic tip, so it shouldn't really cause too much static. And just give it a quick dust over. It takes a little bit of time, but yeah, I find it a bit therapeutic. Don't think you can see much dust dusting off, but it is coming off. Give it all a good clean. I mean, this whole cooling assembly is going to come off. Just looking at how this is set up, I'm assuming, yeah, they're just like just clips that pop up, looks things. So that might actually be quite easy to take off. I was kind of dreading it for a second then, but yeah, I'll give it a good dust. I mean, if the card's too bad, I will just wash it. I can hear a lot of people screaming. Just some water under the sink. Clear it off with some alcohol afterwards, if I got some. I don't have any at the moment. For some reason I haven't been able to get any. And if I don't have any, I'll make sure I dry it pretty quick. Normally a hairdryer on a low setting or cool setting will get it done. And when it comes to fans, I will generally just clean them pretty quick in the same way. Just wash them under, let them dry. Never had any problems. There's quite a bit of dust caked in there. I mean, that's not too bad. I've seen far worse. But and you can get proper anti-static brushes for this. I do have some around, but they're a bit overpriced, so this is just a simple, cheap paintbrush. Does the job. So anything with like, plasticky bristles is generally okay. You don't want just nothing to generate static. But you can get some really cheap ones that will damage the board, so you've got to be careful. So on the front, still as dusty, but on the back we're looking much better. There we go, less dust. But as you can see on the front, that is, once again, not too bad, but it's not the best. And that does not seem to spin freely, so we need to have a look at that. Question is, how do I get it all apart? There's someone washed this before, haven't they? Don't know if you can see that. The screws have gone a little rusty. That's interesting. Well, no matter. Let's pop this off then, shall we? This needs to be just pushed down. I always find it fascinating taking graphics cards apart as well, because they're not always straightforward. I mean, I've removed that, but is there a... Can't quite see. They seem to go back, but they don't seem to do anything. So, did they twist? Now we've got to get in there. Let me just go and get another screwdriver very quick. There we go. So, I say screwdriver. You should probably use something like this, really. But I've got a feeling it's not going to be, or something similar like that. So, it's not enough. So they lift up. Someone's probably screaming at the screen right now, going, "What are you doing, you fool?" It's part of the discovery, though, isn't it? That's what makes it so entertaining. But I want to start from the front. I'm going to remove these. I can't even see what they are. I would say screws, but I'm not convinced they're actually screws. Do I need a smaller screwdriver, maybe? Quite probable. Well, I don't know. They're just small screws. That's why I love doing this. You always learn something a little new, because how everyone does it a little different. It's always fun to just quietly do something like this. A bit therapeutic. Tweezers here. Yeah, it's a very... I can't quite get it out. You know, you get one of those feelings it's going to be a long video. Yes, that's really rusted, but underneath it's fine. So I don't know what's happened to this in the past. I don't know if it was... I'm trying to think where it came from. Because sometimes when you buy computers from coastal towns, you can find that there is some corrosion and rust on parts. Especially on motherboards on the I/O shield, you can get some very horrible corrosion. You can normally fix it up and there's generally no damage, but it's what you have to deal with. Like I said, it's all a bit of fun. Come out, little screw. Come out, little screw. Ah, so I'm guessing this just removes the fan because it's feeling loose, and the heatsink is attached by that odd plastic bracket on the back. So does this whole thing just lift out? Yes, it does. Ah, that's quite nice. Is that just a rubber thing there? It is. Okay. Be a bit more delicate than this. There we go. So, yeah, that's not great, is it? Look at that. Take care of your components, people. Heat will kill your stuff. And when complex electronics like this die, they are dead. Let's just remove that. Always be careful with these. Don't pull on the cables, they will come off. So just wiggle, and eventually it'll come out. Sometimes you've got to pull on the cables a little bit, but try not to. Does that pop off? Can I apply some oil? Yes, sometimes when the fans are clicking, you can just use some like typewriter oil or sewing machine oil, or search for that kind of stuff, you will find it. Apparently gun oil. And no, that seems firmly in there. Okay, that's a shame. Still, I'm probably could be able to find a replacement fan for that. So what I would normally do at this point is I would give it a wash. But for right now, I'll give it a quick focus, damn you. There we go. Give it a quick dust. But I'll probably just give that a swill under the sink in a minute anyway. Get it nice and clean. And the heatsink, I need to get this off because I can see it's caked in underneath quite badly. I mean, a can of air might be able to clear that out, but I really would like to check the thermal paste or pad or whatever's under here to see what state it's in. I mean, this card is over 10 years old at this point, so it is worth checking. Just trying to work out how to get it off. Well, these clips are definitely what are holding it in place, so maybe it's going to need a bit more force maybe? Ah, there we go. Ah, there we go. Yeah, be delicate with your stuff, but sometimes A bit of brute force is necessary. Well, that's an interesting contraption now, isn't it? That's just some foam. Seems odd. Look at that for primitive backplates. Made of wonderful plastic. Sure. But now we've got these hooks in here, and I'm fairly sure the whole thing just dropped off. Whoa, look at that. Look at that lovely pattern of dust. And yeah, you can see there's no grease at all on that chip at this point. And on the back of there, yeah, that needs a bit of looking into. Right, so very quickly, that's amazing. Get some dust. Give it a quick dust. Camera, focus on the card, please, not my hands. There we go. Wow, this is terrible. Look at that pile of dust right there. Ugh. Disgusting. All that dead skin. And whatever else. I would tell you what it smells like, but I don't really have a sense of smell, so I couldn't tell you. I suspect it smells dusty. You have to tell me what that smells like. Yeah, so that's a bit better. It's pretty awful though, isn't it? Just notice the focus is off. It's amazing, you take it to track something. Yeah, I need to do a review on this camera at some point. It's the autofocus is a pain. And you set it to manual, but it always seems to jump back to auto every time you start recording. Maybe it's me being stupid, but I'm no camera expert, to be honest. But yeah, that looks a lot better, doesn't it? I mean, you can tell me, you can flick the video backwards and forwards. I can do a before and after shot. Ta-da! But yeah, that's much better. Just wipe that away. Yeah. Right, so that's considerably better. What I'll do with the heatsink, I'm not going to brush it. I'm actually going to go wash it under the sink. And back in a minute. There you go, nice and clean. Thermal grease was actually still, well, it wasn't completely dry, which is quite impressive. So let's just give it a quick clean. I'd use some of this, you can pick it up cheap. It does a good job. So I got that nice and clean. Sorry about that, the camera died halfway through. Tracking your damn thing. Okay, so that's nice and clean. I also washed the fan while I was gone, so that's much cleaner. I could probably reattach that. You could probably use a can of air to clean some of this, but I personally don't do it because they are essentially blown refrigerants everywhere, and it's not good practice. I would discourage it where possible, but that's just my personal opinion. So here we need to give this a quick clean, so just one drop of that will do. In fact, let's do two. And the thermal grease is a bit caked around the edge, so it's going to be one of those moments where I think I need to fast forward, because I don't think that's going to come off easy. There we go. nice and clean. So, there we go. One clean graphics card. I'm going to give this a quick dust actually before we reassemble. Not that this matters too much. It's just essentially a back plate holding on the heatsink at this point. Pop that there. I am a bit, I suppose, since it's being plastic, it's got nowhere to go anyway. It's a shame that wasn't metal to dissipate some of the heat. So what I would do at this point is just use some, any old film paste will do really, even something cheap, because the whole point is not so much about the quality of it, though better is always better. I do have some better stuff around, but I couldn't find it this morning. But I do use plenty of this. The important thing is to maintain your cards. The thermal grease will work, and this will work better than what was on there just, because as you can see there was pretty much no contact with it. It all gone around the sides and it got dry, so it was a bit pointless. But I use this quite a bit when I need to use some nice and quick. But for today, I'm going to use this. It's the Cooler Master paste, which I have some of that around as well, but it's okay stuff. It's not bad. So we'll just put a small blob on there. There we go. So you just want it to make contact. I mean, you could also use like a thermal pad or something. It doesn't really matter too much about what you use. The point is the fact that this happens occasionally and stuff gets replaced. So that gets popped on there, like so. That just drops through. Flip it over. Like that. And I'm pretty sure this doesn't matter in terms of orientation. I suppose it, maybe. Judging on the pattern on the back, that bit is there. So let's pop that there. And it should be as simple as just snapping this back down, I think. We'll find out, won't we? Yeah, just hooks back on. There we go. It's nice and firm. That's not going anywhere. Just notice there's a bit of dust still in there. I did run this under a shower head, but it doesn't always get everything. So, you know, it's no harm doing a bit of detailing with a brush. But as you can see, it's considerably better already. I just noticed there's some dust there too. Yeah, this isn't the best job I've ever done. I'm half looking at the camera when doing it. So, yeah, that's not bad. Let's pop the fan back on. There's this little rubber thing right here. Which, oh there you go, I couldn't get it out before. This is like a little sticky pad and this little rubber stopper. I'm guessing the idea is just to stop the fan cable flying all over the place. And that just lazily weaved around there, like so. Ta-da! Now let's put the screws back on. I did try and clean these screws up a bit, but for what I need, they are fine. So let's pop them back on, shall we? Probably should have put at least one screw in. Okay, and that's lined up, it's fine. That's where magnetic screwdrivers would be handy. This is not. Let's just get that back on there. Once one screw's in, it should be pretty straightforward. Obviously, always be careful not to try and round them off. because I do want to get back in here in the future to maintain it. Oops. Come on, little screw. Use the magnetic screwdriver to get it in the hole, and use the smaller screwdriver to actually screw it in place. Why didn't I think of that before? Yeah, nice and tight. Not that it says nice and tight, that's not going straight at all. This is the period of time where heatsink and fan design on graphics cards was a bit interesting. It's also the era when they would slap pretty pictures on the side of a card for whatever reason. Marketing, maybe? I don't know. It's odd because I know today you can see your card, but back then, even with a glass-sided case, well, plastic-sided case, you could only ever see the top of the card, so I don't know. It's all a bit strange. But look at that. Almost looks brand new, doesn't it? I mean, it's not, but... And you can see there's a few blemishes. But considering what it looked like when I picked it up, that being bent and all this being caked with dust, it's not bad. Well, I've just looked at the time, and this has gone on far longer than I hoped. So that's what I generally do with a graphics card. I'm going to go do the same thing with these ones. But right this minute, I've got other things to do. So this is my project for this evening. I will post up the before and after shots of each card, hopefully. If not, it would just be this one, just depending on the amount of time I have. Shame I couldn't sort the fan out and re-lubricate it, but that will do for now. So before I end this video, I suppose the important thing is let's drop it into what's on the desk at the moment. Of course, it's a 4750G at the moment, passively cooled. Just pop that in there. To make sure it all fits. I think that bracket might need a bit more of a bend backwards, but that's nicely in. And voila! Now we have a fan spinning. Not very fast, but it is spinning. And can you hear that? That fan is struggling. And most importantly, there's nothing on the screen. It's spinning up now, but that was struggling, wasn't it? So when I saw the fan and felt when I gave it a spin, it was kind of stuck. So that's not really a surprise. But I unfortunately don't seem to have any signal coming out of that card. So that's a shame. Let me have a fiddle and see if I can get that working. Just tried it in a different machine. the AM4 board doesn't like it for whatever reason, and it boots absolutely fine. Haven't got any footage because I had to run down to another part of the building and test it there, but the card is working, so that's great. Hopefully I get to feature in a later video. But for now, thanks for watching this complete nonsense, and if you liked it, want to see some more, like, subscribe, leave a comment. I've been a bit busy this week. I have various projects in many different states. I need to get them all edited and out the door. They're all captured, audio done. Just need to sit down for a weekend and sort them out. I've been a bit rushed building Christmas presents basically for people that want gaming PCs. So that's it for me today. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Goodbye.